And we were talking about AI, we're talking about robots, all these things they work online. And so many of these things also work on the network. So if you're not protected or if you don't know what to do, you just discover that you are vulnerable. Next slide. During the last lockdown, everybody moved from in-person, everybody moved remotely. We started having virtual meetings. Most schools started operating online. And it was recorded that there were so much activities on the internet, since 2020, when the pandemic occurred. And there's a projection that by 2025, over 40 billion devices will be connected. And this is going to give rise to more cybercrime. The more people go online, the more the increase in activity online, the more the opportunity for those who want to attack you. Because if you're not online, then there's nothing actually to attack. Because they know that people transfer money, people store data, people have so many things to display on the internet, and that's what is attracting these cyber criminals. So you can see that this statistic also reported cyber intrusion, across the globe. It has risen. It's going to rise by 125% by 2025, and look at the value of the money of the ransom that was paid, due to just ransomware. Ransomware is just one of the ways, attackers on the internet operate. There's so many ways they do this operation. Next slide. And that's why countries all over the world have strong regulations, particularly financial institutions. Every year they must do forensic audits because a little attack can bring down the depositor's money. All your money, all your savings in those banks can be wiped out in 1 second. Just a little mistake or a little loophole. So there are strong regulations all over the world concerning, particularly for financial institutions. So this risk is imminent and it's global. I'm just trying to give you this background. Like I said, we are just refreshing our memory. It's not that, I'm sure everybody here has heard about cyber attack, but probably it might not dawn on you that you need to take it very serious. Sometimes until something happens, people don't bother about it. It is when it happens, that's when you start putting in measures. So why don't you take proactive steps? Why don't you get the knowledge? Why don't you harm yourself? So that once there's a cyber missile fired at you, you already have a body armor. I don't know whether you understand something about. You have a body armor, you are protected. So it's not until when you are hit on your leg, you now know that you need to wear a body armor on the internet. Just like you have in the physical world. When you go to the war zone, you see bullets flying all over the place. So you see soldiers, they wear helmets, they have body armor, they move in armored vehicles and all that. So as individuals, as organizations, you need to have your own armored vehicle, and I'm going to explain that in the course of this lecture. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm communicating, please. So next slide, please. So, like I said, growing complexity of regulation. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. All right, so I understand that we are all musicians in this place, so nobody is immune. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So somebody will say, oh, I don't work in the bank, I don't do so much online. It doesn't matter your level of activity online. As long as you find yourself in the cyberspace, you are vulnerable to attack if you are not protected. So this is some of the ways people in the music industry are being affected. Ransomware, they can use pretext to obtain credit card information or private, confidential information from you. And they can also hack into the cloud storage. So most of these companies that provide cloud servers, storage servers, and the rest of them, they are under obligation to make sure that their servers are protected. So every day, there's what we call the penetration testing, VT, or vulnerability testing. So it's just to show, it's like you're at home, you go back to check your gate, whether it's properly locked. That's what it means in simple terms. I mean, you try to open your door to be sure that the door is firmly locked. So that's what all these companies that provide these online or network services, that's what they do to make sure that they don't disappoint, they earn the trust of their customers. Because if anything happens to their customer, it can damage their business. And for society that has strong regulations, it's a very serious issue, because you have responsibility to protect your customer. Next slide, please. So for instance, now, as a musician, you have unreleased songs that you've been you want to wow people, you want to make it a hit, and before you know it, they've stolen it and they're playing it somewhere. Then what happens? So all your dream will just come crashing down and all that. So that side, and then but by the time you clicked it, either your browser or your system or your device or whatever, you just be locked, and that's all. And to be very useless, there's nothing you can do about it. And then you get a code that to have access to these things, please pay $100, $200, $500, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's ransom. And then we have this scareware, where you are persuaded to take a specific action based on fear. And then we have BOT, they are malicious bots that they propagate themselves and they infect the hosts and connect back to a central server. So a place where you have a server and systems are connected to it, all they just need to do is just to penetrate one particular system, and before you know that, they've already infected the memory of that server. Next slide. So we have rootkits, we have virus. Virus is common, all of you know about virus. Virus, they are malicious executable code that is attached to other executable files. So we have a Trojan horse, we have a worm. Worm replicate themselves. The difference between worm and virus is that it is self-replicating, so it's not even dangerous than virus. Then we have the man in the middle or man in the mobile attack. They take control over a device without your knowledge. So you just realize that sometimes, anytime you see your system, just maybe some browsers are opening on their own or some programs, it's an indication. So you should not just take it for granted. Just check to be sure that the man in the middle has not come in. Do you understand? Though some of these things can happen due to pure malfunctioning of the devices, but it also cannot tell if you have been compromised. So that's why it's good to do daily. It's like having a vehicle that you do a daily check before you go out. You check the water, you check the oil. You do a kind of visual inspection to be sure that nothing is going to give you problem on the road while you are driving. Next slide. Okay, so these are the symptoms. CPU means Central Processing Unit. That is what makes your computer to run. Every computer device is your phone, your server, they have that. So once there is increase, sometimes it generates hits. So that are the symptoms. So you need to check. It's like when you are having your body is warm. So sometimes might not be due to fever or anything, but it's also good to check yourself to be sure that it's not malaria or any other thing. So when there's a decrease in computer and web browsing speed, you want to open the web browser, maybe Internet Explorer or what have you, and it's low. That's also a symptoms. When your computer freezes or crashes something, that's also a symptom. Unexplainable problem with network connections. So everybody's connected in this hall, for instance, now, and you're the only one that's not connected. So you also need to check. Files will be modified and deleted. Sometimes you see your files. So it's a tool they can use to sniff on your devices in order to extract password. And they can also crack your password, they can also crack code. And that's why we are being advised, it's a password policy that you need to be checking your password regularly, and your password must not be multi-complex. So a mixture of, capital letters, small letters, special characters, numbers, and the rest of them, so that they won't be able to guess. For instance, now, if I'm an actor, if I know your name, I know where you were born, your father's name, I know everything about you. If you decide to use, maybe my name is Toyin, for instance, my past name is Toy, maybe my child's name or my wife's name, you understand? And that's all. I can guess it, and I will have access to you, you understand? I can just guess. So anytime they are guessing, if you use that policy, no matter how much time they guess, it will be difficult for them to really get at you. So it's very important to know that. Next slide. So we're looking at, please, next slide, I'm talking about phishing. Next slide, please. So how do we protect our data? One, next slide. Encrypt your data. So most of our system, like for instance, on your WhatsApp call, you will see something like this call is already encrypted. Encryption means where you hide something with a code that nobody can see. It's like a tunnel. So you keep the firewall on and up to date. Most of our systems, they come with Windows Defender. So you need to activate it, to check it and make sure they are updated. You need to also to update your operating systems and browser. You need to know how to do all these things. They are all there on your laptop. You will be able to install virus, antivirus, and anti-spyware. They are not really expensive. Most of this company, they sell them. And then you must be able to download software from trusted websites and keep them up to date. Next slide. You must also make sure that you don't share too much on social media. Don't share too much. I know we want to be on Instagram, we are musicians, we want to be, the star, we want to gather followers, we want people to like us. It's fine that you have like followers, 1 million followers, 10 million followers. But if just a fraction of that 1 million are hackers, you are in trouble. Because you will not know the day you lose your guards and they will do a lot of damage to you. Do you understand? I'm not saying that it's bad to gather large followers on social media, but you have to be very careful. The essence of this class is to be able to know how to stay safe in the cyber space. After the lockdown, we launched a campaign then across several education institutions because a lot of schools started using virtual tools to teach and all that. And truly, a lot of schools were attacked. Even in Nigeria, we have the records. So we started this campaign and this awareness, and today that problem has been able to reduce and all that. So these are ways they can get. I know your date of birth, I know your email address, your phone number, this is how they can get you and all that. So then you also make sure that you check your social media settings. There are control that you can lock off anybody that wants to intrude into your private settings. Next slide, please. So, because of this, there's a need for the workforce. We really need to have people that can defend us, people that can teach us, and people that can make sure that we stay safe on the cyberspace. So, next slide, please. So, what must we do? We need to do something. We need to begin to develop the skills. I'm going to be talking here on 2 dimensions. Just the skill for yourself, just for yourself alone. And for those who want to go far into cybersecurity, want to take it further, this is what I'm going to be presenting, which I'll be rounding up. So by 2025, it is estimated that 5 million jobs will be displaced because machines will now be doing the work of human beings, AI, robotic, and the rest of them and all that. But at the same time, 97 million new jobs will be created. Next slide. Is that not interesting? So, so don't be afraid that you'll be losing jobs, but more jobs will also be created as a result of that, particularly in the music industry. So a network without security is irrelevant. Next slide. So you need to know that. So whatever you are doing online without security is very irrelevant. Please, next slide. So we need to make sure that we grow this job. So cybersecurity jobs are everywhere. I've mentioned it before. Transportation, energy, music industry, education, aviation, all sectors, because we keep records. Everything is online. You want to book flights, you go online. You want to transfer money, you go online. You want to,
My name is Felix Ujuman. I'm an IT engineer. So looking at the technology space, a lot of other devices we use, we connect to different things and the likes. I'm only just asking, yes, these attacks happen day after day. Are there kind of intrusion softwares that we can have that helps track this attack before we are attacked?
Okay, yeah. If I get your question very well, whether there are simple software that individuals can have to detect all these things. Yeah, we have what you call a IDS, intrusion detection system. Yes, they do. We can talk about that maybe at the end of this thing. There are a lot of them, but just be very careful. You don't go online yourself to search for it, because all these things needs to be validated and supported, and it has to come from companies that are regulated by the industries and all that. So they actually exist. They exist, and it's really available. Maybe if there's an opportunity to go in depth into the cybersecurity, we can do this demo. I'm sure this is Society of Nigeria will be one of these days. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, a round of applause for him.